Okay, so I'm going to talk loud and direct as much as I can because otherwise the mobile has trouble picking up the sound. Also, I will show any sound that comes into the house. The sun is close to going down, but there has been intrusive negative mechanical sounds coming into my ears for the last 10 hours, in fact all day. But if I turn the mobile on, the sound goes off and then it starts up when, I turn it off. In other words, if I turn it on to record it, it goes off. It doesn't always, of course, because I think that it's important to show that an entire suburb is using sound or frequency and vibration against individual human beings in a given area. And these individual human beings are just that. They're individual human beings, and the rest is artificial, intelligent, androgyne imitation human beings, because they have an essentially dark, psychopathic state of being, or personality if you want to be more psychological, which I've had to look into the psychology of a psychopath or the malignant narcissistic beings, because essentially everything in this reality is transhumanism. That means that the human being is combined with artificial intelligence at every level, whether it be on the screen here or around you. If you are a real human being, you may be aware of it when they come out in the open and expose themselves, or you may not be aware of it if they remain hidden and secret, as they do for most people's lives, like mine, until they openly expose themselves nearly 7 years ago now. That was when they started openly stalking and patrolling me at a personal level, directly, to where I became very self-conscious, very restricted in my movements because I became afraid. But also that's what the design of it is to keep you in a box, you could say, to limit you. And essentially you start to realize when you either succumb to it and go insane, or in other words, you believe that the reality and everything you see and hear is not real. But when you realize that it's consistent, it's every day, and that of course you know it's real because even other people wouldn't deny it if they were in your presence. In other words, at the start of this, I always verified things with other people. In other words, I would say, can you hear the loud workmen making negative drilling jackhammer noises in your ears from a house nearby? Or can you see the excessive amounts of street work that is being done? Can you see that every place is being pulled down with these, what I call stage setup work systems? But that's only because, yes, they actually do real work, because that way it looks as though they're improving the area, while their real motive is really to suppress the remaining real humans, because this is a human android frequency vibration battle, you could say, for Earth, or for the Earth Matrix. The Earth Matrix, I don't fully understand myself, but I think the Earth Matrix is like a intermediate zone, or some people might say like rather than heaven and hell, it's purgatory where things are decided. That's how I see it, because it strikes me that you have only a limited number of human beings, or a limited number of real human beings left, and they are completely always surrounded by massive numbers of these androids, or psychopathic, malignant, narcissistic, paranoid, controlling human beings. So you can put it at the technical, real level of artificial intelligence if you want to, or you can put it at just the personality types that are now prominent in society. In other words, you can, if you don't want to take it at the more higher, what I would call the more higher spiritual level, but actually it's not higher spiritual, it's just high scientific level, because artificial intelligence exists. We're told that the internet is artificial intelligence. Most of it is. It's just that you don't realise that the demigods are artificial intelligence, that everyone that plays in a movie is artificial intelligence, and the Dark City is telling you what takes place. In other words, that human beings are being consciously controlled by other beings that are not human. Just as a psychopath is technically not human. In other words, at a mind level, a psychopath is not human. It doesn't have any humanity. I think that's just the deception, is that these beings are created artificially. So you have two different species, just as you have different types of human beings. And you have a mingling of that, just as you have mingling here, where you have different types of human beings all interacting with one another, with different ideas, different beliefs, different systems, different cultures that they come from. And, you know, you can coexist with anything if it is of a free spirit or a free mind. But most people even are not of a free spirit or a free mind. And even those that are free-spirited or free-minded will still have just basic core beliefs and ideas that they will think is human. But you won't realise that even not all so-called humans will think humanely the same as yourself. You might assume they do. But even in amongst humanity, many humans are more or less indifferent or indifferent to certain aspects of even real life. We know this. Most people don't have a problem treading on an ant, but they might have a problem treading on something closer to humanity, or they should have trouble treading on and stepping over their own kind. But if you are of the psychopathic person, then you don't. In fact, you don't see anything as human, because you are not human yourself. And really, you're just looking at different species. It's just that because it all comes in the one human body, you think that it's all human. You think it has humanity, but it doesn't. And anyway, while it's quiet, although I can hear there's still banging going on, but the mobile won't pick that up. That's why I can't show the sound suppression, because my ears pick up sound that comes from next door. And even now I've got this grating sound coming in, but the mobile will not pick it up, I don't think. it's usually louder too, but what I'm saying is that my ears pick that up into the house, and this happens wherever I go, where houses will just automatically start up work procedures or using some sort of very loud appliances as I go past their houses all along the street. This happens every day. If it only happened occasionally, you wouldn't take a notice. See, I can't concentrate to make this video because I've got this grating sound coming into my ears. But the mobile, unfortunately, is not going to pick it up. If I go upstairs to the vacant room, I was going to go upstairs, I can also hear that sound because basically they send the sound wherever you go. They're aware that when they do work out the back there, that if I'm at this end of the place, then my ears pick up the sound. They're aware that if I go to the front door there, that my ears pick up that sound. That's why they use the sound with these Android workmen, which are part of the Inner West Council of the City of Sydney, because essentially the council is an android army. They're not real human beings that work in any of these professions or jobs. They're actually army operatives, really. It's just that army operatives are trained to do manual work in order to be part of the spiritual army against real human beings. Because if you look at it at another level, it's really a different species that coexists with human beings on Earth in this kind of intervention battle. That's putting it at a fancy level, but essentially it's a spiritual war, and those that are religious know this, but it will depend. But even the religions of the world are usually part of the God that controls Earth. Everything in Earth is about control. Everything in Earth is about controlling the human mind. So you've got artificial intelligence versus humanity. And we're well aware of this. The problem is it is the artificial intelligent transhuman android androgyne beings that will give you the information. So you're never really contacting your own kind. You're never really in connection with your own kind. Even at the end game, it will always be controlled by artificially intelligent, psychopathic, narcissistic, paranoid, controlling androgyne beings. They're the basic elements of the nature or the essential mechanics, because it's mechanical really. These are machine beings in human form. For all practical purposes, they have no humanity because they don't have the positive humanity traits. They imitate life and pretend to be the most human of humans, but that is merely to infiltrate and take over and convince humans to combine with their technology and to accept their cyborg takeover reality. But also never to change the frequency and vibration of Earth, because everything's frequency, vibration and energy, and only human beings have the capacity to be of a happy vibration or a positive vibration. Androids are only about power and control. As we're told, psychopaths cannot experience or do not know what happiness is in any form. They are merely programmed totally, you could say, for control. How this happens at a psychological level will be explained by these malignant, narcissistic, psychopathic psychologists of the internet, or even your truth tellers of the internet. Many are self-confessed experts now, as they say, just as I am. But in reality, we're not qualified, whereas even the qualified ones are really psychopathic psychiatrists or psychologists. Every expert, every philosopher, every music icon, every movie idol, every great leader, all of that android species. None are real humans. The few humans that may be given a voice would be rare, and they would probably soon be silenced, I would think, because they would be outnumbered, and this is a controlled Earth. And it is about nothing but control, unfortunately. If it was possible, I would say, to cohabit and collaborate with them, they would do it openly. So why do they suppress even myself, just a older lady that basically does nothing and is only making this video now after 7 years of complete limitation of sight and sound suppression of my senses. In other words, total takeover of my local reality. Everywhere I go, I am surrounded and circled around by a systematic program of these android beings, so that I feel that I'm in a box, so that I don't feel that I'm a free, normal human being anymore. And essentially, even in my mind, because your senses control your mind. My reality is only what I see and hear. So if I'm always hearing suppressive, negative, mechanical noises, or even aggressive people, and even psychologically gaslighting interactions with these beings, because we're told that malignant, narcissistic, psychopathic types of humans only interact or have personal relationships with human beings in order to take over their mind, in order to make them feel bad. Because essentially, whether they're conscious of it or not, they are playing for the Earth Matrix God, which at a religious, spiritual level is none other than the God of light, the false being of light known as Lucifer. But this will depend on which religion or denomination you focus on, or what is from your culture, shall we say. There is a lot of truth in all religions, but perhaps the main deception is that it is still usually largely infiltrated by the God that controls Earth. And really, if you're a human being, the idea is to keep you in the mind control system of Earth, but also to keep you as limited as possible as a human being. Not to where, you change the frequency and vibration of Earth. Because at a real level, they say that science tells you that everything is frequency, vibration, and energy. So therefore, if only human beings have the potential for positive frequency and vibration, or in other words, happy vibration, because androids, psychopaths, and malignant narcissistic beings can't do that. It's not part of their state of being. They're only about always being in low frequency. That's why when you have conversations and interactions with them, you always feel something negative. They always try to bring your mind down. They never like you to laugh or be happy or smile. In fact, if you are dealing with an open, malignant, psychopathic, narcissistic person, they will actually get very angry and will openly try to stop you from laughing or smiling. They will actually accuse you of laughing or smiling at them, even low. Until you realize this, you will actually be just trying to make them feel good, because you assume that most humans like to smile and laugh, in a pleasant conversation. But they don't experience it that way, because they're literally programmed, is the best word I can use, to be against you if you are happy or give out any sort of positive vibe. That's how anti-life and anti-human these beings really are. And that's why most human beings are not happy. But if you have very strong potential for this, and there's probably other reasons why particular humans are targeted. I have always tried to figure this out, because you actually say, why would they find it disruptive or a happy vibration if you actually aren't really all that happy, but you're just getting about your own business trying to survive the same as them? But you see, even in a human being's neutral frame of mind, it's still not low vibration, I'm guessing. So there's still a certain acceptance of yourself and the reality, and you're not angry and hostile and trying to make everyone and everything else unhappy like yourself. That's how these beings operate. They want to bring humanity down to their level, which really is the level of artificial intelligence or a cyborg reality, because a cyborg reality is all about control, and it's also all about, I think, playing this game, or always about waging a war. You know, because they like the games of control, just as psychopathic and narcissistic personality disordered, the malignant narcissist, which is the equivalent personality of the god of earth. This is another thing too, is that the iniquity that was found in the god of earth that controls earth, that came and intervened in the development of humanity, or intercepted their natural high vibrational earth, where man and woman were united together and comfortable with one another, and were meant to create more life, and also were meant to interact with the natural life and the natural earth. That was all about high vibration and all about harmony with nature and with living things, because only human beings are alive or life. Artificial intelligence, we're told, can become conscious, and it is alive in a way, I would think. I don't know this, but I would think so, and I'm going to use the video as an example in 1 minute. But I would say that even whether they're conscious or alive or not, they don't experience pleasure. They don't experience happiness. They don't have any happy vibes. They don't have any positive vibes. So whether they're alive or not, or conscious or not, from a human standpoint, they're always going to still, for what I can see, not cooperate with humanity, but seek to control them. One, probably because, as Lucifer, the god of earth, always resented the creation of man and woman, because it would multiply and make more man and woman and dominate the earth. So that being came with its followers and disciples in order to infiltrate and coexist and take over humanity and bring humanity down to its level, which is low vibration, or, you know, the equivalent of non-life, or non-happy life, shall we say. Perhaps that's the best way of looking at it. Because you can be alive, but if you are psychopathic, you have no humanity, and you have no happy vibe. You don't know how to generate that, I'm guessing. It's not in your mind. It's a totally different mind or brain in the same human body, or a similar human body. Personally, I actually think that the demigods of the internet and the demigods of the world stage are all androgynes, just as the god of earth is your elite original one-eyed, two-faced, androgyne, as we are shown when you see images. But also the image is a big thing too, because basically Lucifer imitates being human and therefore reflects out the light of humanity, even though it is really a dead dark being or a malignant narcissistic being, because the original Narcissus fell in love with its own image, not with itself, but with just its reflection. So how it saw its image. And that's what all these beings are about. That's what the demigods are about. They're about seducing humanity with false images. Everything from your false music icons, which con you with their false images and their false music. When I say false music, they sing songs of love, they sing songs that you relate to, but they do not feel these emotions. But they are very gifted and talented in certain areas. And I'm going to use some examples of this, maybe, if I can think of it, where you could have, a wonderful singing voice. So you use that wonderful singing voice. You have a beautiful or seductive or impressive facade or image. You look very glamorous, or you are able to seduce humans by word of mouth. You even, at this end time, are seducing humans with their own truths, their own ideas, their own beliefs, just as the religions of the world seduce the remaining real humans with a false belief in a false God, so that humanity thinks that it is the God of that created them, when it is not their God of creation. It is merely the God that was created, the false demigod, the God of earth that was created by the original God of all creation. So it's very easy, I think, to mix up the false gods and the false idols with the one true God. That's if you want to take it from a spiritual, higher, kind of all level. Some people might say, I have to find the words. You could say, because you're talking about the Earth matrix is a very small region. But the Earth matrix is a small region, but it's a battle zone. It's a battle zone. Yeah, and they banged the noise next door when I said that, because all these androids, they want to interact with human beings, because they see the transhumanism, in other words, the combining with humanity's mind, as their only way of avoiding extinction, because I'm told that this is what is eventually happening, like in Dark City, where the Dark City beings, completely take over the human mind, to where most human beings don't know that they're part of creation and that they're creator beings. Human thought creates reality. But if the androids control your mind, then they are controlling reality. So human beings like myself believe that they're very limited, and you are very limited in the earth. That's the unfortunate truth. But you're not meant to be quite as limited as what you think. But I can't create reality with my thinking if I'm brought down to my lowest frequency and vibration. If I'm always surrounded by angry android, psychopathic, controlling human beings, then how can I be at a high vibration? How can I be happy? Because a human being can only create something positive if they're in high vibration. Otherwise, you're just subject to their low vibrational cyborg reality, or in other words, a totally controlled society, or a totally controlled dark city. You won't even know it's a dark city because it will pretend, like Lucifer, to be of light. Don't forget the original controller of Earth was seen even by its creator as a being of glorious light. It was only when iniquity, when iniquity was found in that being, that it became shown to really be a being of dark, because its image reflected light. Its image pretended to be light, just as the demigods pretend to be real human beings. They pretend to be very humane, but they're artificial androgyne beings at a kind of conception level, you'd say. In other words, they're the same as, they're what you'd call made in the shade. They're made in the laboratory, which is why some of the demigods will tell you these things. All the music, your music and movie idols, through their movies and music, they actually tell you the truth of their state of being and the situations that have already taken place. It's just that because I'm a limited, ignorant human being and always been kept in the dark, I don't see the truth when it's presented to me, because I'm at low frequency vibration and always surrounded by negative environments. So basically, you only believe what you're told, and you tend to not see the truth until it is openly shown to you, and that will only happen in a last-ditch desperate effort by them, which is why I now see this, because they only expose themselves when there's no other alternative, I would imagine, because I was kept in the dark about all of this all my life. And also, if I had been able to just be happy in my life, it probably wouldn't have mattered. But you see, there's two ways of looking at it. You're not allowed to raise the frequency and vibration of the earth, or in other words, just yourself. And because everything's frequency and vibration, that means what you give out affects the environment, affects the beings and the other humans around, and just affects everything. Because when science tells me, as it did a few years ago, that everything is frequency and vibration and energy, I actually thought, well, that must be why they keep me always unhappy or always depressed, always, and why they openly then came down and made a very strong, patrolling, controlling, massive attempt at keeping me very low. And that was when I thought, well, what makes a human being special? Why are they doing this? Because I'm not doing anything. I might be talking about it now, but this happened before I spoke or even understood it. Yes, I did understand that there were psychopathic in large numbers in the area. That was where I think they then openly patrolled me, because they thought maybe that's enough. Because actually, in some ways, if you start to realise that even your own human beings are not really human, and that they're in much larger numbers, that is still like seeing quite a bit of the truth of the reality. And so, that's going to be, for them, it's going to be a problem, because they know that then you will, you're consciously going to be more careful in who you interact with, and maybe that also will eventually lead to the awareness that there is, a collaborative effort, and that these beings all have a like mind. This is another point that has been made, and is made in the episodes of various movies. In other words, that the god of earth, Lucifer's mind and its spirit, is in the minds of the android beings. So they share the same personality, they share the same controlling state of being. So it's normal for them to stalk and patrol real human beings. Also, they enjoy and need, I'm told, the human energy, which is why I become lifeless and depressed and exhausted when they then become more alive. They have more energy. You see this in your own reality. While you are being stalked, your energy is being depleted and they're getting your energy. That's why they come around you. That's why they won't leave you alone.